Fan.
The renowned rock band Weezer is bringing their Voyage to the Blue Planet tour to Minnesota Wednesday, September 4th at the XL Energy Center. Don't miss out as they play all of the hits, including the Blue Album in full. Special guests The Flaming Lips and Dinosaur Jr. go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. Head over to KFAN.com, keyword calendar for more info.
Holy cow. Hey. Hey, where is it? He's a game changer. I better get to it quickly. Damn. Gotta find my Kevin Lynch notes. Ant was marching last night.
Keel reached in on Keontae George and turned him over. It's another Keontae George turnover. Ant goes up for the dunk and Thunder slams it in traffic over John Collins. And Ant may have hurt his left hand. He comes right to the bench. That was sick. He took off, launching himself to the iron.
Alan Horton calling the Wolves and the Jazz last night from the vibrancy known as Salt Lake City, and the Anthony Edwards dunk, best dunk I've seen all year in the NBA. And NBA Network people were saying that last night and this morning. That was super cool. And Kevin Lynch, a frequent contributor to Love Covenant Productions, he was the sideline reporter, sideline analyst for the last two Utah games. And so he was there to chat with Anthony Edwards after the game, and part of the conversation went like this.
Oh, my God. Hey, that was my best dunk of my career. I'm not going to lie.
You've had some good ones.
I didn't even react because I dislocated my finger. You see it?
On your left hand, too.
I couldn't react to it. I wish I could have reacted to it. I wish I could have.
You got any more?
Oh, yeah, I got a couple more.
That was terrific. Hi, Kevin.
How you doing?
That was, yeah, it was that whole thing, watching you guys, was the bomb last night. Go ahead. What do you got, Mac?
This is Ant on the second half defense last night.
I don't even think it was what was said at halftime. I think as a group, collectively, we came together right before the third quarter started, and Slow-Mo was like, hey, we need this game. Like, we got Denver tomorrow. We missing key players, so we need this game. And, we kind of took it personal, and I'm glad my teammates stepped up tonight.
Is that Anthony in a roundabout way saying, Slow-Mo's like, we better get this game because we got some injuries and we got no shot against the champs tomorrow night? Right. Which they do have a chance, but that was kind of a roundabout way. Slow-Mo saying something like that. What else?
Speaking of Slow-Mo, Ant gave him a lot of credit last night.
Man, all credit goes to Kyle Anderson.
Yeah.
He was everything we needed tonight. Whether it was rebounding, fronting somebody, playing in the pocket, making the right play, getting on everybody's ass. He was the MVP tonight for sure.
He was the MVP because of his reaction after Anthony Edwards dunked on John Collins. I froze it on my TV because I'm like, he put his hands, the palms of his hands on his face, like, oh my God, what did I just see? Oh, that whole sequence. Man, Kyle Anderson trying to hit three-pointers on the road is just the most adorable thing I've ever seen. But
why on the road?
Well, because Grady said last night that one he hit was the only one he's hit on the road all year. That's why on the road. Did you see the second and third? I mean, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had less knee bend trying to get that three up. Then the slow-mo's the bomb, and I love the curly hair. But nevertheless, that three on the road, what else?
Last one, Anthony Edwards. The fourth quarter was the difference maker last night for the Timberwolves. Here's him on the fourth quarter.
In the big moments, man, I love to have the ball in my hands. I love to take a shot. I live with, if I'm the reason that we lost the game, I live with that. I can sleep good at night. I'm just ready to get in the gym the next day. So, I live with putting the ball in my hands in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's Anthony Edwards after the game with Kevin Lynch. Now, you heard Alan Horton calling that, I believe, on the Wolves channel on iHeart Radio and iHeart Media. Well, the Utah Jazz, they have a radio play-by-play team, too, or at least one guy. I can't say I've ever listened to them. Definitely not a Kevin Calabro or Joel Myers talking about BI. But nevertheless, I would imagine they had a call of that dunk. Let's take a listen.
Edwards through the lane. Oh, my gosh! Anthony Edwards just climbed to the top floor.
Whoa.
Dunked on top of John Collins. And the foul in a dunk you will see for years to come. John Collins is down because he got hit in the head. Anthony Edwards just defied everything. Timeout on the floor. Oh, my gosh.
That's the Utah Jazz Radio Network?
Yeah, right. You don't usually hear that kind of call from an opposing team.
If they have sports radio with calls, talkbacks, or texts, or whatever it takes to win these days in Salt Lake City, like today, right now, and they're talking about that dunk or that game, what else do they have to talk about in Salt Lake City on Sports Talk Radio other than the Utah Jazz? Unless they're going to dust off a Jim McMahon or Danny Ainge interview from like 50 years ago. They'll be talking about this, and if I'm calling up, I'm like, yeah, I'm Paul from Provo. Could our announcer Kevin possibly root for the other team any more than he just did? I mean, all right, I'll hang up and listen. Let's hear that one more time.
Edwards through the lane. Oh, my gosh! Anthony Edwards just climbed to the top floor. Dunked on top of John Collins.
That's it. We're good.
And the foul in a dunk you will see for years to come.
That, I mean, can you do me a favor and figure out what my man's name is? Play by
I got
Fox, Utah Jazz TV or radio. I think that was radio. Hi, Kevin.
How you doing?
That was a man letting out a full season of frustration, working with a team that has a ton of injuries. They don't win a lot of games. He just figured out that it's Talon, not Talon, and they're pining for the days of Stockton and Malone kicking it over to Jeff Hornacek or Bobby Hansen, and here they come with a lob
Thurl
to
Bailey.
Mark Eaton on the lob from Thurl Bailey. He went up high and came down hard. I mean, that call was unbelievable by the home box. I mean, he did it justice because it's dunking immortality by Edwards. But it's great seeing you here, man. I mean, when I asked you to stop by on Tuesday, I saw you Saturday on the television. I didn't know that you were going to come right back and like do sideline work for last night in Salt Lake City. So you get home about 3 and you're here for 9 to noon. Excellent work with Prigioni into the second half. And also with Anthony Edwards at the end of the game. Maxwell, a covenant collapse, all right? He stepped out of his comfort zone. He left Redstone at 11 p.m. on a Friday. That's a Saturday. Oh, it's a Friday and Saturday at 11 p.m. He jettisoned
Redstone.
Dunking on people at the Eden Prairie Lifetime.
That's right.
So he could go to Salt Lake City and follow the Wolves. I should know this. Is that the first time you've done sideline stuff?
No, I was just filling in.
Yeah.
And I've filled in a few times. It's been a few years since I've done it. I've probably done sideline for 5, 6, 7 games through the years, but only as a fill-in. So that's all it was.
Right. How'd you like it? Saturday compared to, I have all your albums, so I watched all of your hits.
I know.
When I learned at 8:00 on Saturday, and this is with all due respect to Katie and Marnie and Leah and Rebecca, everybody who gets a chance to do it, that's my guy. I mean, I've just never seen my guy in this role. I canceled plans, and I stayed home for the Wolves and Utah Jazz without Lauri Markkanen, which means I really, really love you. And watching you do your bit, then watching it last night. So you got a couple of games, and, I mean, a weekend in Salt Lake City. I mean, that sounds good enough to eat.
Yeah, it's Salt Lake City is an interesting place with the whole Mormon thing, and then it's got a
whole Mormon thing.
It's kind of reminds me a little bit of Portland, Oregon, a little bit. Just
Really?
not quite as extreme, I guess, but yeah, because you got the outdoorsy, the skiing type people, the mountain biking, and all that kind of scene.
Right.
Da-da-da.
Well, you're not real outdoorsy, are you? Well, you see, you are, but
I'm
just
not. I'm
not
not a downhill skier, kind of cross
and
country
you don't
skier.
fish, and you don't hunt.
Right.
And neither do I. And we speculate. I mean, that's what we do, except you go to, I haven't felt my ribs in 30 years, and you go to the Eden Prairie Lifetime and posterize people 3 times a week. Because I saw one of the posters outside of Shields at the Eden Prairie Center. It was you over Ron Johnson just slamming on him.
Ron Johnson actually does play it. He plays at Crosstown.
Bro.
Yeah.
I was in a basketball league with Ron at Central Middle School on Wednesday evenings for like 3 years. I mean, my minutes got cut from 16 to about 4.
Still got your shots up, though, I know you.
Until he was on the team because he never passed it to me. But Ron can ball. I mean, I know Martin Luther King High School in Detroit, and he played basketball and football there. He's one of the 3-ish best receivers in the history of the Golden Gophers football program. But playing basketball with him with that 3-pointer and flying down the key with the greatest of ease. Have you ever played against Ron?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, he shut you down, didn't he?
He did. But how old is he?
Well, we're about the same age. So I think Ron's probably, if he was like, say, 01,
Is he 40?
11, 21.
He's less than he's 30s.
Yeah, I'm going to put him at about 42.
Okay.
43.
He's 43?
Yeah, 43.
Yeah, he's 43. If he was 45,
Makes a difference.
It'd be what is 45? Not only Ron Johnson's age, but the amount of minutes it takes me to actually find Channel 45.
I always love that one.
45.
So a lot of former this is back in the day, like back in the 90s. There's a lot of Viking players back in those days that would play at Crosstown at Lifetime.
Oh, wow.
Fernando Smith. Remember that guy?
Defensive line?
Yeah, defensive lineman. He used to play up there, and other guys too. And there used to be a lot of jabbering and talking.
Yeah.
with
Well,
some of these guys.
do you remember when you played at Jefferson and then you played at the University of Minnesota?
Yeah.
If you would so I'm saying younger Kevin Lynch, pre-Hornets, pre-Grandmama days, when you would be playing outside of organized practice and the football players would want to play in the game.
Oh yeah.
And they were uncoordinated and they couldn't shoot, but they were the toughest guys to get around and play.
Well, they just follow you.
Well, not just foul, they just stood there. And it's like, can you imagine trying to get around Pat Williams by one of those blocks? Or trying to get around one of these big football players? They were really difficult to play against.
So let me say this.
Yeah.
So when I was in college, I think it was my sophomore year at Minnesota.
How are you not tired?
I am tired. As soon as I leave here, I'm going home and going back to bed.
You could have said no. I mean,
No.
I almost texted you. I put a tweet out, and I know you don't look at Twitter or any social media. God bless you for that. But I put a tweet out I screenshot you, on my TV, being like, "Hey, my guy, how cool is he? He's doing this, and he's coming into 9 to noon tomorrow." But then I thought, well, I mean, Wednesday at 11's open, Friday at 11. Maybe so you could get a little, because I know you landed about 3, which means you probably didn't get to sleep till 4:15 or 4:30 because you're probably a little wound up.
Yeah,
and here you are,
that's for sure.
11:15. So are you okay?
Yeah. I'm tired, but I'll
can you come back tomorrow?
I don't know about tomorrow.
What about Thursday?
Come on, man.
Just kidding.
Let me tell you. So we're talking about football players.
Yeah.
So when I was in college, and our coach Clem Haskins, in an effort to toughen us wimpy basketball players up, he threatened us a couple times. Hey, I'm going to get some of the football players from the Gopher team to come out and practice against you guys, to toughen up you guys.
Yeah.
So that he eventually did that. We all kind of thought he was joking. Wow. He actually did that, and so they bring these guys out there. We've got a couple defensive backs and a big defensive lineman. And
so you crossed over on Tony Dungy. That's what you're going to say.
Tony Dungy's before me, but
I'm sorry.
It was one of the Foggy, not Ricky Foggy, but one of his cousins or something that was on he was a free safety or something, and we destroyed these guys. They're not football players, they're not basketball players, even if they're good athletes,
right.
And it's like.
But did they bump you around and toughen you up?
Yeah, they tried to, but we were just dunking on them. Just get by him, they'd try to bump you, I'd go by the guy and just dunk on him.
Oh, wow.
It was that simple.
You used to dunk?
Oh, man.
I know you can dunk, but I mean, were you flying through the key with the greatest of ease guy at one point?
Yeah.
Damn, like Kendall Gill with the left hand, except yours was right? Okay, Edward, now with the game last night, Ant went marching. We heard both calls, Horton and the Vox for the Utah Jazz.
David Locke.
David Locke. Oh, David Locke's done it forever. Holy cow.
Those Utah guys have been around forever.
Yeah, David Locke.
Guys.
Locke with an E, I believe. I know that name for sure, man. He does a good job. And noted sideline analyst Kevin Lynch was right there chronicling all of it for Bally Sports North. He's back with us now. When you were there, did you do any skiing?
No, I did not. But I did rent a bike, and I went biking around Salt Lake City, which was interesting.
Was it one of those electric bikes?
No, man, I got to.
Do you know what the electric bike bits are like?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, no,
I knew they existed, but I'd never ridden one. And in fact, this day last week, in fact, probably close to about now, I'm in Venice Beach with my son, Senor Smiley. We went to Wolves Lakers, Wolves Clippers, and so met my brother in Venice Beach, and I got on one of those electric bikes for like the first time. Oh, those things are sweet. Why the hell would I ever pedal? I mean, when you just charge this thing right here, pedal a little bit, and hey, there we go. That's cool, man. Edwards and out to lunch might be a little strong, Kevin. I thought he was out to lunch early in the game, couldn't get going, even shot an air ball straight away from like 16. What flipped for Anthony Edwards and led him to superstar mode last night?
I don't. The dunk was. I think that was part of it. And he seems like, the more these games have bigger meaning, and there's more on the line with the season that they've had. It just seems like he comes alive. Like he'll hit a shot, and then he'll hit a second shot, and then he starts to get a little bounciness to him, and then he'll get the dunk. Something like that will happen, and he just like his juices start flowing. And it seems like, and this is one thing I asked him last night, was it seems like when the temperature starts to rise in the arena, it could be here in town, it could be someplace else on the road, and something happens, he hits a shot or two, gets a dunk, and the game means a lot. Everybody knows it. His teammates, I think, like Kyle Anderson, fire him up.
Yep.
And then he just gets revved up, and he just starts to take over. And then I think Chris Finch does a good job with him as far as drawing up plays to get him like a quick shot and get him going quickly, and then he feeds off that. And he's just one of those guys when the game gets kind of I don't want to say dirty, but the game gets tense and serious, intense. It just livens him up. He gets more energy by that.
Yep, and top of the head, happen to remember how well he shot from three last night. I know he was cold early, then he caught fire a little bit. I have a point to this. I'm calling up the box score now, unless you got it right in front of you. And wow, 2 of 8. So it's still the same bit where, like when I chatted with Finchy Friday about Anthony Edwards, and in that Clippers game on TNT. Did you watch that game?
Yeah.
If Kawhi stays in the game, I don't think we win. But I also think we beat the Lakers Sunday if Rudy Gobert plays. So I'm speculative. Who cares? But like in that game, Anthony caught fire on TNT. Like, and this matters to these guys. It's like
he senses moments. For sure.
But it's like Sunday was ESPN nationally televised, kind of embarrassed ourselves a little bit with the way we handled AD with an all-time line and all those steals, like 7. And now nationally televised, we got Kenny, we got Charles. We know how that works. I mean, he just really became the identity of that game against the Clippers and just killed them after Kawhi went out. So with that said, through all of that, his 3-point game still has some broken to it. he's just missing and missing and missing and missing. So I asked Finch about it Friday, and Finchie's like, well, I'm telling him to shoot more because I know he's going to shoot himself out of it. I know he's going to catch fire with it. You know, it may not ever be a 45% or higher or whatever. He's going to catch fire with it. So he's encouraging him to shoot more threes because he's one of those guys I believe will shoot his way through it. And obviously it didn't work last night, maybe tonight though. But that 3-point game by Anthony it's just a little broken right now.
Yeah, but once he gets revved up, you know, then he starts to make them and he gets on these rolls. And you know it's funny, but you know, even you can see this in high school basketball. Everybody thinks that, you know, to me, you can have a kid or a player in the NBA or a high school kid that averages 20, 25 points a game. But the mentality that Anthony Edwards has got, Paul, it's different. It's different than a lot of these NBA guys that are scoring 20 points a game or 25. Andrew Wiggins. How would you compare Edwards to Andrew Wiggins? It's not even close. It's not even in the same universe. I mean, Wiggins was a good scorer here with Minnesota, but Edwards is a completely different animal.
Yeah. See, I'm hesitant to go down this road because of the respect I have for Jason Tatum, but I think Anthony and Jason play a lot the same way. Now, Jason has one of the best left hands I've ever seen in my life with the way he handles the ball for his size. He gets to the basket more than Anthony, but what I'm getting at is like Anthony. If you got him in at 8.5 right now, to get to the 9.5, 9 3/4, it's Tatum. I think it'll look like Jason Tatum's game, leading the break, catching the rebound, and going with it. But with Anthony, I'm sure he's done this all of his career, and I'm just noticing it more now. His little crossover step back bit's sweet. I mean, he's got a nice step back. He doesn't make it all the time, but that's the beauty of it. What is he? 22?
Yeah, 22.
There's still so many things morphing with his game, developing with his game, you know?
Yeah. And I think that with there's probably, obviously you want Karl Anthony Towns, you know, they're not going to win anything big without him, but there is some benefit of Edwards just going off and getting his opportunities to kind of dominate the ball, get a lot of shots with Towns out of the lineup. So,
why do you say that they're not going to win anything or anything big without Karl?
Because they need that. They need another scoring option. You get in a playoff series against Denver or whatever. I mean, yeah, you know. They're going to need another scoring option, and Towns can do that. Towns is one of the better shooters in this league. He's a good passer, and if his head's in the right place...
that's a big if. I mean, with all due respect, it's a massive if.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Give Towns some credit, though, too. I really do, because, you know, he's had to change more his game, in my opinion, with Gobert being added to this team has changed the dynamic. Mm-hmm. Towns being hurt much of last season, Edwards' ascension last year. Mm-hmm. This has been Towns' team for a long time, and he's had to take a step to the side a little bit and let other guys shine. Yeah. And so we got to give him some credit for that, for sure.
I agree, but why? I mean, I'm not trying to hate on Karl Anthony Towns here, a self-proclaimed legend. Okay, up to the all. I mean, seriously, when you talk like that, I'm out. Okay, I'm out. It's like Royce Lewis in the playoffs for the Twins last year. Like he hits a massive home run against Houston, looking into the camera. I'm him. No, you're not. You're not him. In my world, you ain't him. Okay, and I just don't like hearing that. But it's like it's when Karl was like, well, there's room for two legends, Anthony and me. You can't talk like that. So,
what do you want? A guy with less confidence?
There's a difference between confidence and delusion, okay? Because you can't call yourself a legend. Somebody else has to call you a legend and start it that way. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But you are right. Another offensive option, as Grady calls him, unicorn, just like Stifle and Nas. And yeah, having those three makes the team better, no doubt.
I know sometimes, you know, some of the things that Towns will talk about and say, it irritates some people, but I like it. It entertains me. It really does. I like the fact that has a very high opinion of himself, and to be that good, you gotta love yourself to some degree. I like it. I like it. It's a good thing to me.
Got you. More on the Wolves and the NBA with Kevin Lynch after this.
Join Join 9 to noon's Nordo in the Book Sports Betting Lounge at St. Croix Casino, Turtle Lake this Saturday from noon to 2 p.m. Stop by and enjoy food and drink specials and check out his cheat sheet to give you all the best bets for the weekend. KFAN.com, keyword calendar for more info.
All right, 35 after. Maxwell, you wanted to chat with noted Bally Sports North Sideline analyst Kevin Lynch?
I did indeed. We went to break talking about Karl Anthony Towns and all the injuries that the Wolves have been dealing with lately, which means Luka Garza has kind of been on the floor a lot more, and he's impressed me making the most of the minutes, at least in my opinion, making the most of his minutes when he's been out on the court. Do you think it's the defense that's keeping him from being a more consistent rotational piece? Because it seems like the offense is there.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, it's kind of the defense. He just, the speed of the game. Sometimes he gets exposed with he's got some heavy feet there, and that hurts him. He's done a great job. Let me say this as far as losing weight, and he's in great shape right now. But I think that's part of it is or a big part of it is he's going to struggle in some defensive matchups. So that, because offensively he hit a key three last night. I can't remember what part of the game it was. I don't know if it was fourth quarter, third, it was second half for sure.
I think it was the fourth, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he hit a big three last night when they needed it, and offensively he's doing just fine, but on the defensive end, that's going to be a problem in certain situations.
So when you aren't playing in games much, like Garza, except of late,
yeah,
and you're practicing, so you're with the team, the conditioning is good and everything, but like the in-game quick twitch, I mean, that's something that probably needs to develop.
Yeah.
Like I'm playing 6 minutes a game, now I'm playing 12. 7 games in a row, 25 minutes a game or whatever. Something has to come together, right?
Yeah, I think it's one of the toughest things as an NBA player to do, a young guy especially, is to consistently play well when you don't really know what your role is with the coach, or you're a two-way guy, so you're kind of going back and forth between Iowa, Minnesota, whatever, and so you're not always here, and you don't, so you're missing situations, what's going on with the team. Then you get brought up, then you got to play, and you have hardly played, with the big squad or whatever. So I have a lot of respect for these guys that are able to play well when they're going back and forth between the G League team and the big team, whatever. But Garza's doing a nice job. Offensively, he's going to be just fine in a lot of situations, but athletically, he has a hard time with certain matchups.
That last answer, elite energy.
Elite?
Yeah, I don't know why Jim Peterson said that to you after the Prigioni interview last night. Maybe you didn't hear it.
I didn't even hear it. What did he say?
Great energy, Kevin, and then like a chuckle or something. So then, I was thinking, okay, well, somebody in some truck in some city is like being like, hey, can we get a little more energy or something? Like, I didn't know if that was the case or not.
Oh, I didn't even hear him.
Oh, yeah, but Jim was like, great energy. I'm like, what the hell's that mean? Oh, somebody's trying to coach up my guy here. I have to coach up my guy. He played with Grandmama. Okay, he's going to be just fine. Just put him in the game, roll the ball out, and let's win. And let's not worry about the details and keep the overarcher in mind. Anyway.
I know you guys are going to deep dive the Wolves Nuggets, so I wanted to go a little bit more bigger picture here. Last week, there were some reports that emerged that the NBA Competition Committee has discussed ways to incorporate more defensive freedom. They're evaluating how to potentially allow more physicality and the merits of stuff like that. And the Wolves, obviously, defense has been their calling card this year. So I was wondering what your thoughts on that report in general and how that a rule change like that could benefit the Wolves.
I didn't see that report. When did that come out?
Yeah.
It came out in the middle of the week last week. Yeah, right.
I didn't know T.R. Dunn was producing the 9 to noon radio show. Got Bruce Bowen over there with an afro. When did Bruce Bowen grow his hair?
Bruce Frowen.
Bake McBride. I was happy to see this guy walking in the building here.
I mean, come on.
Bake McBride is always the go-to for PA.
That is such
when I first saw you, that's what I said.
Literally.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. He always, Bake McBride is the go-to.
Yeah. Well, when I said
that's
that,
a good one.
You wonder why I only have one social media outlet. It's Twitter. It's because when I said that, I got canceled on the other 5. You can't call a black man Bake McBride and say it on the radio? Sure I can, because I don't think black and white like you. not you, but the person listening. You know
I incorporate it. I'm Bake Mac's bride. I put my name in everything. Dusty Frodes, Bake Mac's bride, Max Keel O'Neal. I just parlay it into another little nickname. It's
if you have an Adderall addiction, you can be Darnell Pillman. Or if you're mean, you could be Dr. Punkenstein. You're the punk. You're Punkenstein. Neither one of us saw that report. Are we missing anything?
It's just, I think it was more just a preliminary report, just saying that it's definitely a possibility, and Adam Silver's looking into it because obviously, there's been lots of reports that he is not pleased with the level of defense in the NBA, particularly at the All-Star game, which what can you really do about that? But there were several reports saying that they're looking into ways to allow defenses to be more physical.
Let me say one thing about that, because I don't know when this was, 15, 20, 25 years ago, maybe even when Jordan was playing with the Bulls. They did this whole freedom of movement, right? Because they used to allow guys to really, armbar, like in like defensive post play,
great energy.
You can do this, and now they forced you had to extend you couldn't extend your arm, you had to do that, whatever. And because they just wanted more. Scoring was going down. They wanted scoring to go up because the fans like to see high scoring games. And it's probably gone too far that way now. And it's frustrating defenses and stuff like that. So to go back a little bit into the middle, I think might be a good thing.
Nuggets tonight. Oh, goody. Wolves on a traveling back-to-back. The champs fully rested. Nas, I don't know. I'm not asking you to share steam about Nas or, whatever you may have heard on a charter, things like that. Stifle Tower also. But, Nas and Rudy Gobert, kind of important tonight, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or at least one of them.
Yeah, I've not heard anything about Nas, Rudy. They said last night in the post game press conference that Chris Finch said I have no idea what's going to happen, whether he's going to play or not. So if they could be down they're three big guys against Jokic.
And it's well, how do you handle the challenge if that's the case? It's what Anthony Edwards said to you after the game. I forgot about that, where he's like, slow-mo, Kyle was just like, we have to get this one, okay? Because we got the champs on a back-to-back, and then without even saying it, like, hey, look at the triage over there. a lot of Wolves in there. So he was not saying they're not going to concede, of course. I'm going to the game tonight, too, man. I hope it's a really good game. But on a back-to-back against the champs and they're rested, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, Denver's playing well. They're starting to kind of surge a little bit. So, what do? You hopefully if these guys, the big guys, don't play, Edwards has a big night. Yep. It's going to be a tough challenge right there. Because Jamal Murray's been playing well, too.
Better energy on the last answer. All right,
thanks.
So, no problem. Did you happen to see the Kyrie walk-off on the Nuggets Sunday?
No, I did not.
Bro, you got it. It's an unbelievably cool highlight. It's a walk-off. You see it, Max?
Yeah, it looks like something that an NBA player would do with playing another NBA player in horse. You can't do this, so I'm going to try to do this. So, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's tight game with the Nuggets Sunday. Kyrie's on fire right now. So he's, let's say, free throw line extended out by the 3-point line to the right, looking at the basket. He runs into the middle of the key, right at the buzzer, throws up a left-handed 13-foot shot and wins it, and the game's over. So clearly, you remember this when you practiced for Clem or who was your coach, Barstow? Alan Barstow?
Bristow.
Oh, Bristow? Alan Bristow?
I can't believe you remember that.
Was it Bristow?
Bristow,
I think it wasn't?
Yeah.
It was a dapper young man. But Alan Bristow, in practice, you guys all work on all these shots, the scoop free throws over the backboard for horse.
Day. So
I'm sure Kyrie's dexterous in that he can dribble both ways incredibly well. But to hit a game-winning shot with your left hand, that was pretty sweet. So I guess we sweat the injury report all day. It's Gobert and Nas, definitely needed tonight, but who knows? And lastly here, what do I got here, man? I love when you come in. I get so tangential and hyper, and your energy was great today. Nikhil Alexander Walker, so smooth. Okay. Jaden McDaniels, that's kind of a negative.
He's frustrated. McDaniels. He's
frustrating us. No, he is. Seriously.
I understand. Yeah, I understand that.
What's up with his offense? Let's just close there.
They're trying to get him going, and they're trying to.
He's super important.
Yes. Let me say this about McDaniels: if that guy could be, and I know we talked about him a couple weeks ago, but to me, if he could turn into a offensive threat that you could count on, make some shots,
Yeah.
consistently score a little bit, this team would have a serious chance to get to the NBA Finals and maybe win it all. They're just trying to find that third scorer. We talked about Conley. It's not going to be Conley at the end of the day, but McDaniels, if he can figure it out offensively, these guys could go to the top.
Well, remember 2 or 3 times ago when you were in here, I had Chris Finch on earlier in the show.
Yes, that's right.
And I told you that, I asked Chris, if you could get 12 points and 3 made 3-pointers from Jaden McDaniels, every game the rest of his life, would you take it? I mean, he cut me off. He's like, yes, right now. Okay, next question. I mean, that's just how important even just that is. Now, look, you got back at 3 a.m. Super kind to stop by 9 to noon. With all the energy is diminishing a little bit.
Yeah,
so
well, understandable.
You can go get some rest, okay?
Thank you.
And go dunk on Ron Johnson. That's Kevin Lynch, Bally Sports North. Put a wrap on the show after this. Hey, Lynch is the bomb.
He's the best, man.
Isn't he fantastic? It's like, I don't know if it would sell, and sadly, that's like the first thing you have to think of when you come up with an idea for like a podcast or something like that. Will it sell? But like Kevin and I, maybe with Jim Peterson, whomever, depends on who has. Kevin wants to do like an old school basketball type of radio show or podcast with me. And I would do it because it would be fun. Just because Kevin, I don't know if you know this or not, but like he played for the Charlotte Hornets, played with Larry Johnson, played with Kendall Gill, played with Muggsy Bogues. Kevin was the bomb. He was Mr. Basketball in the mid-'80s, like a little after I graduated in 84. But the old school knowledge, just to be able to sit with Kevin or Jim Peterson for the old school audience and be like, all right, Jim, you played in the NBA Finals with Ralph Sampson and Akeem Olajuwon, or was he called Hakeem then? And like, what was it like to guard or try to get around Buck Williams? What was it like to get around Charles Oakley? Kevin, what was it like one-on-one with Michael Jordan? That happened to you before. I just love old school NBA. A lot's changed within the association, but nevertheless, I still enjoy it. And man, he just has a bevy of stories and memories, and really kind of him to land at Signature at 3 a.m. and then come in and assist 9 to noon. Where what do we got on the Big Bird tonight? Is it Wolves play the champion Nuggets at 8? Wild play the Anaheim L's at 9. What's on KFAN tonight?
We got the Wild game on at 9. Puck drop around 9. Kevin Fallness will start the pregame at 8:45.
Yeah.
You can hear the Timberwolves, every Timberwolves game on the free iHeart Radio app on the Timberwolves channel.
Alan Horton voxing it. Joe O'Donnell and Tom Reed from Anaheim describing a victory, we hope, over the Anaheimers. And thank you very much for listening to 9 to noon today. Maxwell, always enjoy working with you. God bless you, my brother. And we'll talk soon, all right?
Of course.
Max Fuller, Nordo back tomorrow. And I'm Paul Allen. The program goes to full strength. Always were. That's debatable. Cheddar B, Tedda B, Brandon Molesky, the interim, with Dan Cole, the common man, coming up to at some point today. Don't know if there's a coach's show with the NIT, but nevertheless, stick around for the program. Don't leave home without it. Bye.
Good times.